All right, so this is session 1 of 2. We are playing Atomic Robo, the role-playing game, which is a seriously heavy book with seriously heavy paper stock. It is a Fate variant, and it's based on the Atomic Robo role-playing game, which is about action science. But we have adapted that over for another licensed product because, of course, I can't do anything easy, you know, so we got to just double things up. So we're doing Hellboy. I spent the last couple weeks reading all of the free Comixology Unlimited Hellboy graphic novels. Signed up for the free trial. There are a lot of them, and there's a lot more that aren't free. So that was kind of crazy. And I did break down and bought the Hellboy in Mexico graphic novel. So this is what we're doing. We're playing agents of the Bureau of Paranormal Research and Defense. I've done pre-gen characters. The assumption is that these are agents that are new recruits, or they're filling in while other agents are on maternity leave or general vacation or in the hospital. And so this is the new class of BRPD agents. This is part of the Gauntlet Hangouts, which means that we do use the X card. I know that everyone here is familiar with that. Hellboy is a horror game, but not too graphic. If we hit on things that you don't dig, that you're not comfortable with in terms of topic, description, subject matter, or even tone, feel free to X card. You can do that either by sending me a note in the chat, or you can do the X card symbol. I will give you an example drawn from Hellboy itself. Because if you've watched the second Hellboy movie, you know that they have tooth fairies in there and they eat teeth. And I do not dig that at all. And I have to fast forward through that section when we get to that in the movie. So there are things that I would X card. All right. So let me say a couple of words about Atomic Robo and Fate. My general tendency is to run Fate fairly light. Pretty loose. One of the things I do is if I spot your compels, I'll hit them if it really seems appropriate. Otherwise, I leave compels in your hands to self-compel to spot that if you need to, where you feel it's dramatically appropriate and you need a fate point. So feel free on that score if we hit something like that. Otherwise, I'm pretty loose on those things. So I would like to go through and get everyone to introduce their characters. Everyone has picked a pre-gen. So Chris, you were the first person to get on the call, so you are the first person to introduce your character, if that's cool.
Okay, that's how it goes. Okay. Well,
Yes.
The irony of this is I didn't look at the other characters, and I started making my own, and I've got a bit of an overlap. So we'll see how this goes. If somebody resists it or resents it, I can change it. So I'm playing Yekaterina Orlova. And how did she first come to study the occult? If you wanted me to go into the background questions. And I actually uploaded an image. So I found an image that I thought was suitable. And
that is a great image, by the way.
So she's got goggles on her head. She's holding might be a statue, might be a magical item in her hand using a magnifying glass, but all very artsy. And she's got auburn hair, that's what I'd say. She's Russian, of course. Her grandfather was into the occult, and that's how she got into studying the occult. Supposedly, he was related to Rasputin. She was not really recruited by BPRD. She fell through a summoning portal that brought her to the rest of the group on one of their missions. And after she helped them with that, and then she was basically recruited after that. What went horribly wrong on my last mission? Everyone died defending Yekaterina while she was setting up the anti-magic field. She was covered in blood and guts, and she's not going to let that happen again.
Nice.
Let's see. When she needs to explain things, she tends to rely on visuals. So she will go to a blackboard and draw it. She will take random objects and use them, place them around the room or whatnot to show relationships. I guess you could call that explaining by analogy. And she reconciles the occult with science because she believes that occult is just people using sound, words, etc., to trigger a neural reaction that reaches to the Scylla dimension, which powers their magic.
All right, fair enough. Talk about your aspects. We've got 2 written down. You're going to come up with a couple.
I can't hear you, Lowell.
Oh, you can't hear me? Did I cut out there?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. So can you talk about your aspects, the 2 that we do have down there? I don't know if you want to modify either of those.
No, I was okay with those.
Okay.
So her first aspect is occult field analyst. So that means she probably sees the occult in everything. Her trouble is that they always eat the bookworm first, right? So that's why I think the people were defending her in the last time around, because they were after her. And then I guess I left the others open because I assumed based on what the other characters were, we might come up with some interactions between them.
Absolutely. Now you're going to start with 3 fate points. If you write in one of those aspects, you can take a fate point for that immediately.
Aha.
That's the incentive to finish filling that in. We've got both occult and science on your character sheet, which means that we've got a couple of occult 1, occult 2, science 1, science 2, which means you can fill in specifics on that.
Mm-hmm. I was going to ask about that. What does it mean, the one that's in parentheses?
Oh, so that's the mode. And Atomic Robo breaks things down into the modes, which are groups of skills. So that shows you where that default mode is at. Any of the skills that are written like under action are already written in. But if we hit an occult or a science roll that isn't related to a specialty, we'll use that value for it. Any questions or anything you want to say about your stunts?
No, the stunts were actually pretty clear.
Okay. All right.
So back to the skills. So where I see occult 1, the idea is that I name that, I give it a specific occult.
Yes.
Okay.
Like demonology or ghosts or something of that.
But I leave the occult that's in parentheses with the asterisk. I leave that occult as a generic.
Yep. Okay. That will be used for any of the generic occult roles.
Well, then I will definitely take demonology.
Okay. Since I said it, you're like, oh.
Well, it's in my stunt also.
Oh, that's right.
Well, no, it's not. No, it's not. It just referred to it, and that's why I remembered it. But that fits in with what I figured she would be doing.
All right. Okay, I'm going to move on. Dylan, you are running our BPRD field agent. By the way, I will get that backwards, that acronym wrong most of the time we do this. So can you please tell us about your field agent? You are muted.
There we go. Yep. I was having trouble finding the unmute.
Oh.
Okay. So Hamid Haddadi is the field agent. He's former Army. He was with the Army Intelligence and Security Command. Let me just move this over. There we go. I can see better. He didn't volunteer for this assignment because he usually prefers to work alone. And when asked what the worst thing he's fought, his response is typically something like, "It's so classified, I couldn't even tell you after I've killed you." And his motivation is really, he doesn't think without people like him, he feels like humanity is doomed. So that keeps him going, keeps his iron will up. And as far as his other colleagues, he was back in the day, he was with Delta Force. So, you guys seem normal to him.
All right. And in terms of the aspects that we have on the character sheet, are you cool with those? You're going to make any changes?
Nah, I think I'll go with those. I've got one free one that I can fill in.
Okay.
But I kind of like the other. They seem to be. They're actually all tight. Well, there's the trouble that we have rules for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And then the sharp-eyed scout and bid through the gauntlet are tied to the stunts. So I don't really need to change those. But I've got the one that can be filled in.
Okay. Are you cool with the stunts? Any questions about those?
No, they look fun.
Okay.
They're all look good.
The signature aspect one, it always seems like it's plain, but I actually like it because that free invoke is kind of nice. So, all right. Let's hear about our accidental bearer of a supernatural relic. Do we have a name, Garrett?
We have a name, and I even have a custom overlay.
Oh,
yeah, there it is.
Well, let's see.
There we go. So, my name is Ingvar Jinseng. I am an online yoga teacher. That's my fake identity. That's a quite a brilliant idea because I can do that from wherever I are as long as I have good internet connection. So, I once was about to die. I haven't figured out yet what exactly happened. I think I was training for something in the Himalayan, and I nearly died. And Professor Anja Kepke, was it? She implanted an ancient artifact, which was found on that mission, into me. A heart, the heart of Muscat. And she was working for an Indian guru, and he is still after the heart. But the bureau contacted, and because they learned about my existence through the spy system they had. And so I was brought into safety into the bureau. This is where I trained to learn control the heart. The heart can change the speed my heart is beating, and it can also change how light particles behave. This is how I can disappear into the shadows, but I can also create bright light. But I haven't learned to control that yet. So this is how the power of the relict manifestate.
Are you cool with the aspects that we have there? Or are you gonna? Do you want to change either of those? Modify either of those?
They work perfect for the heart, not for me, but for the heart. They work perfectly.
Okay.
One of them is that I'm the accidental bearer, which means I don't know what I'm doing. Good for the heart. The other one is Mind of Two Souls or something like that. And that also works well for the heart, because before my body was under my control. As you can imagine, for a yoga teacher, not being in control of their body, not a nice thing.
Creepy. Are you cool with the stunts? Do you have any questions about the stunts that we have for your character there?
Also, I like them. Let's see how they play out between this and the next session. Maybe
Okay.
I will advise one or the other. It's
Sure.
5 of them, so it's quite. But the fade away, I like it very much. Yes. Choose
Awesome.
to disappear anytime. I find that helpful.
All right. And finally, Bernie Rasputin, our reanimated corpse agent.
That's right. So Bernstein Rasputin was created from numerous different bodies in 1942 during World War II by Grigory Rasputin. And basically, it's a composite body shell from discarded corpses. And he was trying to bring a spirit from the abyss over, but the connection failed. So the shell was mostly empty. Animated, but doesn't remember much. So at first, the Axis army thought that they could use him as a soldier due to his bulletproof nature, until they saw that he was vulnerable to fire, which makes him kind of useless. It's really easy to get rid of him. That's where he got his nickname Bernie from.
Oh.
Yeah. And basically, he appears, he has obvious scars and stitch marks where different pieces have been put together for the body. How do you repair damage? Very poorly. Typically, so he's kind of learned his kind of a field surgery kind of thing. He'll take spare body parts and attach them from from corpses that are left over after a big fight. But it's not the easiest thing to do. How did I first encounter the BPRD? During World War II, the fledgling Bureau found Bernie as a discarded shell, and he'd been badly burned after his first encounter with fire. They were able to kind of doctor him up, and he realized that he needed to protect those in the Bureau who couldn't protect themselves. He was good at that. And basically, my role in the field is to protect those that are weaker than me. My aspects are the reanimated corpse agent. My trouble is Frankenstein's the doctor, you idiots. And the next one is protect the geeks. And protect the geeks, I actually have a stunt for, which allows me to once per session invoke it for free. A couple of other stunts that I should make everyone aware of is that I've got pretty good armor and an unnatural strength, but if you're hit by a physical attack, I can take physical damage instead of you to reduce the hit as if it had hit me. But anything that gets through me will go to you. So just remember that if I'm nearby.
Awesome.
Is that you throwing yourself on a grenade?
Yeah, pretty much.
Just checking.
Yeah.
Just a couple quick questions before we get moving here. Katerina, so we've got a connection between you and Bernie Rasputin. What is your take on that?
Yeah, that's what I saw after I started looking at the other character sheets. Once I started doing mine, I was reading, okay, since I was saying that my father was related to Rasputin theoretically, and that's where she got her occult knowledge, or I got my occult knowledge. Yeah, so that would make her very interested in Bernie, because Bernie might know where to find more information about Rasputin and what he did. So,
I really like that idea. But if you don't mind, Christo, I'd kind of like to play that off of Bernie doesn't know your relation.
Oh.
That basically you're trying to play Bernie, but Bernie doesn't know. Does that interfere with anything? Is that okay?
No. So you're saying, so I might be asking questions about it, but Bernie doesn't know that there's a connection. I don't want him to know.
Right. He doesn't really know about your grandfather and the connection to Rasputin, because that might make him angry.
True. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that works.
Or whenever he finds it out during the session, that might make him angry. Yeah.
Hamid, you mentioned that you tend to be essentially the loner operative. So I assume that means that you don't picture yourself as the team leader, right?
No, I'm not the team leader. I'm just kind of I picture myself more as a resource on a temporary assignment.
Okay. Then who do you think is the team leader then?
I think maybe Katerina.
Okay. And what's your relationship with her? What's in terms of working out in the field?
I more or less do as I'm told, as long as it's within the rules.
Okay. Excellent. Ingvar, how am I saying that?
Ingvar.
Ingvar, so you come from a more occultic background, yoga instruction, a more spiritual thing. What are your feelings about being teamed with two characters that we might consider more physical, both a trained soldier and a created creature?
Our bodies work so differently that for me they are a lecture into human shapes and different aspects of physicality. It's something which should be studied and better understood, how the flow into their life and out of their life, maybe one day or more for one of the others, is actually working with the yin and yang of the world.
Interesting. So, Bernie, when he starts talking like that, do you go, "Ah, yeah, I get it," or are you lost, or what is your reaction to that sort of spin off into aesthetic philosophies?
I think I easily get lost. It's not something I'm very familiar with, but I'm fascinated by this discussion. I know that I'm unnatural. I'm different from most others. I've been created, of course. But I think that whenever Ingvar starts talking about the yin and the yang and the soul, I think that makes me curious whether or not I have a soul or not.
Nice.
If there's an aspect that I could create that would tie Ingvar and the soul question together, I'd like that, but I'm not sure exactly how to do that.
Yes, I'm also thinking about that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, let's think. Certainly, we're not thinking of a trouble aspect, but something like a quest for my own soul, or seeking higher enlightenment, or something of that sort.
Ooh. I like seeking enlightenment.
Yeah,
I think that ties into it. Okay.
Yeah. If you take that, then and write that in, consider that you have another fate point to work with for the evening. So let me set up the situation. I'm going to give you the basic briefing. You can ask some questions there, and then we will do the flip the comic book page and put you on site thing. So the BPRD field office is in Providence, Rhode Island. It is a large facility with a great big underground set of labs and research areas and so on. A few years ago, the BPRD was revealed, essentially that it was as exposed. And since then, operatives have gone and acted out more in the open. There have been some supernatural events that have gotten more public scrutiny. And so when your team arrives, people are weirded out a little, but they don't immediately assume that you're crazy. There's a weird tension of that in the later Hellboy and BPRD comics, if you read through those. So your field leader calls you in. It's a woman, short-cropped, blonde hair. Her name is Dr. Kate Corrigan. She has been essentially field leader for the whole organization for the last few years. She's the one who makes the decisions about dispatching agents, about assessing threats, about how to handle matters. It is an incredibly difficult job because, as we've seen with your team of 4, it's a team of people, every one of them that has certain idiosyncrasies. There are constantly people babbling, roaming the halls, all kinds of strange theories floating about, and certainly odd smells from the cafeteria on a consistent basis. So Kate Corrigan has called you in, and you're there in the meeting room, and she has up on the screen a map, and she will zoom in, and she will say, so the second largest urban zone in West Virginia is Huntington, West Virginia. It actually borders Kentucky, Ohio, and West Virginia. In itself, Huntington isn't that large. It's only about 50,000 people, but the greater metropolitan areas that it connects to are make it larger. There's a lot of tied in smaller sub-cities around in that area. Marshall University there, some other small industries. DirecTV is based out of there. So it's all said and done, Midwestern America at its finest. We have a situation that I need you four to go in and look into. And she will zoom in and she will say, this is Serrano Dells. This is a small town just on the outskirts of Huntington, West Virginia. It's declined since the early 2000s. Economic changes and pressures have made the economy collapse there. The local Walmart has just shut down, and that's causing hardship for a lot of people there. It's also in what's called the meth zone for that West Virginia area. We've got a lot of meth dealers and a steady increase in opiate usage in the area. Backwoods is probably a good way to put it. 2 days ago, a body turned up, and she'll flip through, and you can see that there are crime scene photos from a truck stop. Looks like it's nearby, just you can see the sign. She's kind of zoomed in on that. This young man, by the name of Conrad Zur. She'll flash to a dead body. Looks like a mid-20 Caucasian male. Like cut off jean jacket, a little American patch on his thing, jeans with, scuffed out knees. This young man had some kind of attack, panic attack. People said they heard him screaming at the truck stop, and then he died. When his body reached the local hospital, and you will cut to some autopsy shots, and she will show you what looks like the various internal organs, and she'll say, as you can see from these shots here, while his skin was not penetrated, his internal organs have been savaged, as if attacked by some kind of wild animal. There is, and she'll flash up a PowerPoint chart. This area is what we call a mortality cluster. Higher rates than normal of vanishings, unexplained disappearances, suspected murders in this general vicinity, and that has been a historical case. We are afraid that there is some kind of supernatural creature that has gotten on loose that may be responsible for other attacks in the past. At the very least, is responsible for this attack currently. We need you to go in, investigate the situation, and neutralize any threat in the area. She'll turn the lights back on. Do you have any questions, any of you?
You're supposed to find it and bring it back alive.
At this point, we're more concerned with stopping further casualties in the area. If you're able to neutralize and capture whatever this is without further, without incurring further danger or threat to the local populace, you are more than welcome to do that. But I'm going to leave that up to you, Kat, to assess that. Is that okay?
Okay.
That's fine.
How discreet should this mission be?
We've had some pushback from locals on this. I'm not going to be let me be perfectly frank about that. So I think we probably don't need to be discreet. I think we may have to do a show. It's why I assembled a larger team, because I don't like the fact that we're not getting as much help as I would like following up. In fact, the only reason I think that we were able to get this autopsy information is that the body was actually moved out to another hospital outside the area. I have the sense that if the body had been taken to the hospital there in Serrano Dells, that we probably wouldn't have gotten the info that we did.
How much collateral damage is acceptable?
I like the way you think.
Collateral damage needs to be kept to a minimum if you're operating in a public area. If there are no, if you're not endangering innocence, I mean, if it's physical collateral damage, the loss of vehicles, of locations, we can pay for that. Just let's keep the innocents out of harm's way.
You got it, boss. When do we leave?
We've got a chopper taking you out to the Huntington Airport in about 30 minutes, and there'll be a vehicle ready on the ground there for you. And we'll do that wipe. We assume there's a montage of the helicopter flight, of you walking off the tarmac, getting to your vehicle. We'll assume it's a 4x4, an off-road vehicle with some space to it. Who drives?
I think maybe Hamid drives.
Okay.
Yeah, Kat's going to be in the back, like looking stuff up on her tablet. Doing the research on the area and the history of the area. So she'll be busy. She'll want somebody else to drive, and she'll just be focused on what she's doing.
Okay. So now this is a kind of an investigation montage. So I'm going to kind of turn it over to you guys. How do you want to approach this? Should we do some individual looking at things? Do we want to have you guys, at the motel? Do we have you meeting with the local sheriff? What do you think?
Kat wants to see the body.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
let's also get the sheriff there.
Okay.
And then we can have a brainstorm.
All right. So we will cut to the county hospital. It's a larger medical center covering Huntington and some other areas. It's well away from Serrano Dells, and it does healthcare and services for the larger area. And this is not a high income area, so it is a hospital with a little bit of kind of rundown, but there is essentially the local coroner is there, and will show you the body. So let's have you. Again, one of the things I mentioned in the rules thing is I use the optional action for discover, which is a way to essentially roll against difficulty number to generate questions. That's a fate option from the Fate Codex. Mark Diaz Truman wrote an article on it. I standard use it as a success gets you a question, success with style gets you your question and then a follow-up. And I keep those pretty generic. So we're echoing PBTA in this a little bit. So let me start with you on that then, Katharina. What is your approach here?
I'm going to talk with the mortician.
Okay.
Or the what do we call it? The
coroner.
The coroner, and find out what he determined the cause of death was, and if he's seen any similar cases. And then I'm going to want to analyze the body and look for a any traces of interdimensional energies.
Okay.
So supernatural energies is what the locals would call it. But
Okay. So the coroner is your classic lab coat, older guy. He runs a funeral home here, but he's also got some forensic training. Comes and checks the body out, and he will say, "I haven't seen anything like this before. Not any kind of." I'm saying I checked the records, haven't seen anything else of this sort around in the area, but it's certainly unusual. I don't know. It's not anything I could figure out. There are no external wounds in the body, as he show you the photographs. There's bruising, things like that, usual stuff. There's evidence of some drug use from the young man, but nothing that we could tell that would have caused the internal damage. I thought at first it might have been like an impact, like maybe he'd been in a car accident or something like that, and there had been sort of a force rupture, something like that, or maybe we've seen some stuff, reports we've gotten from people over in Iraq where grenades and things have ruptured internal organs, but the outside has been fine. But if I didn't know better, I'd say there's are bite and claw marks on the internal organs.
interesting. Do we have the measurements of the bites?
Yeah, and he'll pull that up for you. As Kat's sort of talking to the coroner there, while the other three of you are there, you will see what appears to be the local sheriff comes in, that kind of tight cropped hair, full uniform on, older, got that sort of red cheeks of age, and maybe some drinking there. And he comes in, stays at the back, clearly not thrilled to be here.
But I know people.
Okay.
That's the name of one of my sons.
All right. And tell me what that...
It does that on a discover action, I have +2. Because I know people. No,
That's a questioner one.
Oh, it's the questioner one. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm ready to talk with. Yeah, questioner is the name. Yes, but I also know people, and so the questioner one is I would like to talk with the sheriff.
Okay.
If you let me do that.
Sure. Talk to me about what your gambit is here, and then we'll go to a roll here once I kind of get a sense of that, what your intent is.
I want to better understand what the situation in town is, what kind of observations were made, interesting police reports for us, people behave differently in the past. The sheriff must be concerned about that, because he must also be concerned because his asthma is getting worse and worse. I can see that he's using his pump spray the whole time. And I might help him also with giving him some little tips on what he can do with his breath. Breathing properly helps a lot to get relief. So
yeah, that sounds real new agey there, that kind of thing there. Okay.
It's an empathy.
Yeah, let's have you roll empathy there.
Yes. Do I have to hit the button below or above the skill? I think it's above. Below?
I think it's below.
Below. Okay.
And then it'll probably pop up with a question about any modifiers.
And I say 2 because I have +2, right?
Yep.
Do you have a challenge rate for me, or?
I don't usually say what that is, but I'm going to give you one question on that. Right now, you're at a success.
Have a 4.
If you want to spend a fate point, you could tag an aspect, invoke it, and tell me how you're pushing it up to a success with style.
I want to push it to success with style.
So what is the aspect you're invoking?
Because I'm here to study and teach the yin and yang of life. That's one of my aspects I created. And yeah, and because I analyzed this sheriff and his health problems, he feels much better in my company.
His reaction is that maybe he's a little bit more put at ease because you sound a little crazy to him, and he doesn't take you maybe as seriously as he might otherwise. So he's maybe a little bit less defensive. So what's your first question? And this can be a general one, and we'll interpret from that. What do you want to know?
So, what is not as it appears to be?
Yes, feel free to, yes, absolutely use the PBTA stuff. That is awesome.
Memorize them all.
Yeah, I can't do that. The sheriff clearly does not want to talk about this. He is not entirely surprised by this death. But he clearly wants this to be, he just doesn't want this to move any further. He's not going to actively intervene, but he clearly has a sense that there's some shady stuff going on, and he would rather it be kept quiet. Does that seem like a fair answer to that first one?
Interesting.
What's your second question then, your follow-up?
Second one, I would prefer to hand over to my colleague, Mr. Hadari, because I think if it comes to groundwork, they would much better get along with each other, a sheriff and a field agent, than a sheriff with a yoga teacher. So maybe Mr. Hadari can take over from here.
Okay. So you play weird cop, scary cop. All right.
Which is which?
So what do you think, Hidari?
So why don't we go into the lobby and I'll buy you a coffee, and maybe we could just chat for a little bit about resources.
Okay, and he'll move with you. There is a switch for him, of course, because he was kind of listening, and then you kind of move in, and you see him maybe realize he's given away more than he meant to on that. But he'll go out there, and certainly he straightens up, tries to suck in his stomach to not look quite so paunchy. And you'll get some of the foulest coffee that you've ever tasted. It's like they've got a Keurig, but they haven't cleaned it since they got it. So you've got 8 years worth of buildup on it. And you can kind of go back and forth with him. What would be the question that you get? What's the info you want to get from him?
I kind of want to warm him up a little bit to like relate to him back and forth a little, to maybe get him talking and divulge some more information, because I'm already picking up that he's holding back.
Mm-hmm. So if we had to phrase that as a specific question, what is it you want to know?
What are you hiding?
Oh.
I just disappeared for a second.
Yes, you did. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
So
did you hear my question? Or?
Yeah. What is he hiding? You don't think you're going to be able to get him to tell you the specifics on this, but you can tell that he's pretty sure he knows who killed this kid. Like, he knows, but he can't tell you, and there's some personal stake in it for him. He's kind of doing that thing where he talks around the topic, and he says stuff about the specifics of it, and then kind of backs off, and you're like, okay. Does that seem like a reasonable answer?
Yeah, and I say I kind of get it, and I put my hand on her shoulder and being like, I get the kind of pressure you're under, and while I did that, I slipped a bug under his collar, the back of his collar.
Perfect. That seems fair enough for me. That seems like a good payoff for you guys doing the good cop, bad cop, and the pressure you put there. Yeah, and when you kind of do that and you let him go, he will, you you guys got this. If anything follows up, you got my card. I got to get back to town, and he will take off. Let's cut back in to the autopsy. Is there anything that Bernie wants to be doing? And then I'm going to come back to Kat.
Yeah, so I think Bernie is actually, sitting in the room, not paying much attention. He's sitting because he's actually a kind of tall, and he has like a sweatshirt on, a hoodie on, with the hoodie kind of pulled so that he doesn't draw much attention. I think whenever the field agent and the cop kind of leave, he thinks they can handle themselves. He's sticking around Kat to make sure she's okay. Mainly his interest is going to be whenever Kat starts looking at the body. He seems interested in that and maybe kind of eager for that. Yeah.
All right. So let's cut to you, Kat. What is it that you wanna know here?
Well, if there were teeth marks, were they approximately human-sized? As in, was the bite approximate for a human?
Okay. So this would be pretty basic information that you guys the two of you can glean from looking at the bite marks. These actually look like canine bites, and wolf or dog claw, which is not heavy clawing. Certainly not werewolf sized. I mean, it looks like a vicious dog attacked this guy from the inside.
And so she says that aloud. Well, at least we know it's not a werewolf. That's good.
And the coroner will go, wait, really?
And I think this is the point where she'll snap on gloves and blow like this bone dust powder onto the corpse a little bit, and then turn on her goggles and look at it spectrally to see if there's any sign of supernatural energy.
Okay.
Dust is going to be powdered witch's bone.
And Bernie's going to stand up and kind of loom over, watching.
All right. So I think it's going to be kind of an occult overcome to be able to detect this. I'm going to say the difficulty is 4 for a couple of reasons. So let me have you make an occult roll.
Okay.
Unless you have a specialty in spectral analysis.
No, I didn't take that. I took dimensional physics, demonology, and alchemy. So I guess maybe I could play off of alchemy, since I was using.
Actually, I'm going to give you dimensional physics for this one.
That's lower. Okay.
Okay.
I'd be better off with straight occult.
Well, do straight occult then. That's the easiest way to do this.
Okay. Let's see. Did that take?
And if you need to, Kat, I can potentially make an aspect that you could tag.
Oh, okay.
Can I do that after the fact, Lowell?
Technically, you'd want to do that first. It's a little bit different than PBTA. So what is the aspect you want to create there?
Basically, I think Bernie, at some point, she blows the dust and she's trying to observe. I think Bernie reaches into the body and kind of pulls things aside so he can get a better view. And let's see what my... I'm going to use Necromantic, which was one of my occult entries. Which I have at 2. So I got a 1 on that.
So you got a 1. So that'll...
total of 1.
Okay, so that'll create a boost for her. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so did you say that was the modifier is
So there'll be a +2 if you use the boost right away.
If I use the boost right away?
Yep.
Okay. And I just enter a 2, don't I? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like I got a 4.
Hey, perfect. There are some creatures that are naturally ethereal that can do this kind of thing. With the 4, it looks like it might be what they call a black dog, which is a related. It's a spectral creature of the Fae from English lore and Celtic lore. Standard sized dog, can attack. It can be. It's not exactly invisible, but it stays at the corner of your eye, so it's very hard to see.
Very interesting. Spectrally, what comes out is it does confirm that this is one of the black dogs. I didn't know they came this far west. I'd only heard of them in Maryland.
The corner's again like, oh, Maryland? Oh, okay.
So I think whenever, while she's saying that, Bernie has kind of pulled some things aside so she can get a better view, and pulls out some of the organ and puts it in his pocket.
Okay. The coroner's a little distracted by trying to picture black dog. He's like, so what is that like, is it just like a pit bull? Like a supernatural pit bull?
No, they look, so the one in Maryland in Boonesboro is thought to look like a big black German Shepherd.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And it's known to chase after cars.
I thought it's just an energy drink.
And
I want to also,
yes.
I want to self-compel and slap Bernie and say, put that back. I'm self-compelling my way of rules for a reason.
Okay. So Bernie, what's your reaction to that? Are you going to try and are you going to recant your collection?
Yeah. So I think I pulled that out and I kind of put it in the little hoodie pocket, and he kind of taps me, put that back, and I'm like, kind of look at him and, put it back. I think taking it was kind of sly, but putting it back was really obvious, and I just kind of look at the corner and put it back on the table.
And there's that bit where everyone gets quiet in the room as the coroner watches you put the organ back. And he goes, okay, I think we're done here. And we'll kind of push you guys out. I'll give you a point, Hidari, for that, as he kind of cuts the scene short and moves you guys along.
I think he kind of starts shuffling everyone else out, and Bernie doesn't pay that much of attention, walks over to the sink, turns it on, washes his hands kind of methodically, turns it off, and, the guy the coroner can even push and shove, and Bernie's just kind of there doing his thing, and then he'll slowly walk out, yeah.
And eventually you will get out there. As you guys wind down, you probably hear the coroner talking to somebody, and then the guy took like the liver out of I don't know what, and they said it was some sort of werewolf from Baltimore. I don't know what's going on. I didn't see that on the wire. And so you guys, with the generic plural, can decide where you wish to head off to next.
Well, the sheriff has to hide something, and if I saw that correctly, Hamid, you put a bug on him, which is very good. Then we only need to wait. I have a kind of start of session move. When I arrive in a new town, I can make a friend very quick. So I would like to use the opportunity to do that.
Okay.
I have an app on my phone which is called Tinder, and I can make friends very quickly with that.
Okay.
Because my body is a piece of art, which is one of my aspects. Works quite well with the opposite sex.
So I assume you want to do that for Serrano Dells itself, for the small town?
Yes.
Okay. Then let's assume that you guys are going to head into Serrano Dells. We're at the 1 hour mark. Let's take our break here, and we'll cut with you guys arriving in Serrano Dells and with you onto Tinder getting your fate point pickup.
Yeah, and at this point, I think Kat will open her voluminous bag and pull out a package of like 5 condoms and hand them to Noir.
All right, we'll take 5 and we'll be back.
Hi, Dylan. I don't think I've played with you before. Where are you?
I'm in New Jersey, like
Oh, nice.
not far from Philadelphia. And you?
I'm in Austin, Texas.
Ah, cool.
Yes.
Or warm.
Actually, it's cooled off into the 90s this week. We had a little bit of rain, which is unusual for us during the summer. But it had been over 100, and we're about to hit over 100 soon.
I don't envy you that. But it's a dry heat, isn't it?
So's an
No.
oven.
No.
Yeah. It's humid enough. It's kind of awful. So I always said that if I ended up moving to Texas, which a lot of people I went to school with went to Dallas, moved south to Dallas, and I was like, Texas is too hot for me. I'll have to I need the full environment, AC suit like the astronauts have with the little briefcase air conditioner. But Austin's a really nice town. So Lowell, what's on your shirt?
Oh, this is a math joke that I got for Sherry.
Cool.
So I bought it for her a while ago, but she hadn't worn it, so it's super comfy. So I stole it for the day.
Very nice.
All right. Got my tea brewing. And that. Of course, there's a new Hellboy movie coming out. I just saw news on the production today. They confirmed that Ron Perlman will not be making a cameo in the new one.
I didn't know there was a new movie coming out. That's exciting.
Yeah, they're going to do a rated R one.
So who's going to be the new Hellboy?
The same guy who's playing Thanos. The guy who was in Jonah Hex and No Country for Old Men, whose name I cannot remember.
Oh, the guy that was it the guy that was the psychopath in No Country for Old Men?
No, it's the guy who is the guy who finds the money and gets chased by the psychopath. Oh man, that's gonna stick. Now it's gonna be bothering me for a while.
David Harbour? Is that his name?
No. God. If only I had an internet. Anyone at home watching this, which there'll be no one, but they would be doing that. Let's see here. IMDb.
Josh Brolin.
Thank you. Yes, Josh Brolin is going to be Hellboy. Fair enough.
I will reserve judgment.
Yes.
I actually tend to enjoy the movies more than the comics. The comics are very good and they have lots of ideas in them. But for me, I don't ever read them enough, to get a full story arc.
Mm-hmm.
So they seem kind of scattershot to me. It's like there's a lot of plots that I don't understand.
Yeah. Yeah, going through is very clear when I was reading the stuff on Comixology that there were a lot of bits I was not catching. But there it is. All right. So Serrano Dells must have been a thriving vacation community at some point. You can see there are motels and hotels here that are kind of emptied, like a Days Inn, and the parking lot is just filled with weeds. It's clearly been let to go. This would be like on a strip of stores and things where, you'll see restaurants that have been closed down. And again, essentially truckers have parked their rigs in the parking lot, but otherwise it's kind of empty. You can't even imagine what the kitchen in the place looks like now, since it just got abandoned overnight. There's a big Kmart. That's probably the only big shopping thing left. The Walmart's gone. There's maybe another kind of Save-A-Lot regional grocery store there, but it has that feeling of kind of back and beyond emptiness. Like it must have been a bigger town, but something went wrong. A lot of foreclosure notices, a lot of empty buildings, and a downtown that's kind of old blocks of shops, sort of half opened, half emptied. And you'll probably find yourself having to stay at a Motel 6, where you can set up shop there and decide what your next point of approach is. We're going to start with two things. One is I'm going to establish a name and a person there for Ingvar, and then I assume that Hamid wants to know who the sheriff talks to pretty much immediately after he leaves the hospital, right?
Yeah, I think I go to my or I would almost think that the bug has been recording this whole time into Kat's computer.
Sounds like a thing. Let me do Ingvar first, and then I'm going to come back to you on that. So Ingvar, what exactly are you looking for friend-wise? He said, creepily.
I'm here for business. So
okay.
I have to be honest. I'm looking for somebody who can be manipulated easily, but also which wouldn't have any legal drawbacks. So
then you are looking for a real estate agent.
Yeah, like a freshly divorced real estate agent. That sounds good. Yeah,
okay.
Somebody who's really needy.
Okay.
And likes yoga teachers with perfect bodies.
So there is a bar in town that you can meet at for lunch, and you will arrive there, and this woman will come in with sort of very well constructed hair, the kind of business suit, casual of the sort of the mid-30, late 30-year-old, and dress pants. She's will come in and she will say, Mr. Ginseng.
Nice to meet you.
Oh, I'm Courtney Leveley.
Nice to meet you.
Nice
Let's
to
have
meet
a drink together.
Oh yeah, that'd be sure be fine. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. Haven't done this to Tinder thing before, so she will sit down and start some small talk with you. What's your general tactic in these kinds of interactions?
I let my body do the job. So I have this shirt, and I can open several buttons if necessary, and I adjust the level of buttons to the taste of the other person. Also, my muscular body and my arms are quite helpful. If something drops accidentally from the table, that I can immediately jump in, and so not many words. And I offer a dark dog energy drink for sure.
Okay. Oh, yeah. No, that's a little bit too much caffeine for me, but thank you. I'll just have a Shirley Temple.
Very helpful.
Oh, okay. You only live once. And
Exactly.
she is sort of starry-eyed.
Mr. Rasputin only lived once, right?
She's starry-eyed. She's fascinated that you've come in from out of town. She's not sure what to make of you. You seem exotic, and foreign to her. And she's a recent divorcee with two daughters who are a handful, as she tells you repeatedly throughout the lunch. And so, is there anything you want to get from her? Do you just want to establish this connection, or is there something particular you want to find out?
Well, first of all, having established this connection, and if we can make use of it, it's even better, I would say.
Okay.
So she knows people, and yeah. So the aspect I write down, I would say. Oh wait, first I have to roll the die.
Okay. You've got her as a friend. So let's have you roll to actually create the advantage, and let's have you do that with rapport and very low difficulty, since you've already established her as a friend from your thing.
All right, like the stunt smooth talk is written a little bit differently, but I'm very happy to work it out like this. There, you roll on DC, which is a very different tactic, maybe.
That is.
And the difficulty is 4, so then I also need my DC to make it. But report I have on 3, and so I roll report and get a 3.
Okay. So I would say that you can get a free invocation from this. Does that seem reasonable?
Yeah, a simple success. And what's her name again?
Her name is Courtney Leveley.
It's lovely. And
Leveley.
Leveley, not lovely. No, but somehow, yeah.
I know people get it mixed up all the time.
Good. All right, I will write down the aspect for that in a minute.
Okay. And she is a real estate agent, so she does know the area pretty well.
That's really cool, yeah. And we have a free invoke. Let's see what my colleagues have found out, and then I make use of that connection.
Okay. So let's cut to you listening in on the conversation, and it's maybe a couple of minutes, Hamid, after he leaves. He's clearly on the road, and he dials the phone, and you'll hear him say, yeah, Sarah put me on through. 1 second. It's clearly on speakerphone. And you'll hear oh, what is it? And the sheriff goes, Gabriel, those guys I told you about, the guys from the Paranormal Institute, the Beppard, I think they're going to be real trouble. They looked at the kid's body, and I got the impression that they were going to be pushing hard. I think you need to call her up and tell her to calm down. And the other voice will say, calm down. You know what's at stake here. You understand that. She's got to finish that off. If it gets fucked up, then it's the end for all of us. You just take care of those Bippards or whatever they are. And the sheriff kind of goes, humph, and then hangs up. Does that seem like fair info?
Yeah, can I have Kat play that back again where with Gabriel speaking? I'm trying to figure out what that sound is in the background.
Ooh.
Well, and the other thing is, I think if we enhance the volume, we can probably identify who he called by the clicks or the tones. I don't know, potentially, right?
Numbers? Okay.
I'm trying to think if they would do that. Nah, we wouldn't hear that, would we? If we heard him dialing it, though, we would.
Well, that'd be the let's have Hamid make a notice roll. I assume that's what you were doing there?
Yeah. Okay. So the one below the. Okay.
Yep.
All right, I clicked on it. Oh, here we go. Modifier.
Yeah, it always gives you that pop-up box. Sherry hates that.
It popped up behind my character sheet.
Exactly.
5.
Oh yeah, so that's a very good roll. What is the info you want to? Do you want to create an advantage? Do you want to get info from this? What do you think you want from this?
I think I want info. I want to try and identify either who or where Gabriel is.
Okay. I will say that you can hear in the background as the sheriff is talking to this guy. You can hear that woman, like clearly it's his secretary, out, and you hear her in the very, very background answer the phone and go, "Mayor's office. Can I help you?" And that probably hear that a couple of times, and you can identify that it's the mayor. I'll give you a follow-up. Is there something else you want to know here?
What should I be on the lookout for?
They sound pretty serious. Like they are very clearly under some serious pressure. There's that kind of crack in their voices that suggest to you people who feel that they're in imminent danger and will take steps to deal with the situation with some finality. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
Okay. Kat and Bernie, what are you guys doing? Should we cut to another point? What do we want to do here with you guys?
So I think Bernie, if we're stationary, I think Bernie's going to pace back and forth and just look and make sure that nothing's coming after everyone. If we're actually traveling while this is going on, I think he's just kind of sullen. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think Kat would say, Brittany, why don't we go check out the gas station? Isn't that where he was found?
The truck stop? Sure.
Yeah, the truck stop. And it's night now, or?
It's probably still during the day right now. Because you guys would have arrived in the morning. But yeah, you can hit up the truck stop. Shall we cut to you two at the truck stop?
Are we staying? Are the rest of us staying at the hotel?
Yeah. Well, or we'll assume that you have a second vehicle. You guys can move around.
Well, you could come with us.
But if we're gonna come with them, I think, like, as they're walking out of the hotel, Hamid does some take some counterintelligence measures, like puts the hair across the door or stuff like that to see if anybody gets in, because the door enters our room while we're gone.
Basic stuff. Or are you doing anything more serious?
Spy cam, probably.
Okay.
Set up nanny cam hidden in the TV.
Okay. And I'm going to come back to you on that in a sec. But let's cut to Kat and the looming figure of Bernie at the truck stop. Who would you go to talk to?
Whoever would have a view of the window. So I guess a cashier, probably.
Okay. There is a sullen teenager in the box at the gas station. That sort of enclosed box, and there are bags of water softener salt and rock salt outside, and that windshield wiper fluid. And then she's got the racks and racks of cigarettes behind her, and lots of Black Dog energy drink and stuff like that, and all those things off to the side. And she gives you this enormous world-weary sigh that shakes her 17-year-old body when you start to talk to her. What is it that you want to know?
Where he was killed is what she's trying to find out. So that's a basic question, but yeah.
Okay, she'll say, yeah, Yeah. So yeah, I was the night before last, and he was just kind of wandered in, from down a ways. I saw like a car stop, like his buddies, and he got out of this car and he wandered over here and he was screaming. And when they get on the meth, they don't scream like that. I mean, they shout, and they shout their ladies and their baby mamas and those things, but they don't screech like that. So he was screeching like he got set on fire or something. And then he spun around and he knocked the gasoline hose out. And that dropped, and then he did the thing, and he splashed with the blue liquid stuff, which you're not supposed to drink, as I found out. So then he was on the ground, and he twitched a while, and then he was all deadened.
That must have been horrible to see.
Yeah, it's yeah. I've seen worse. The highway goes right past here, so we get raccoons and stuff get all splattered all the time.
I think Bernie kind of turns around and she gestured over to an area like where he knocked off the gas. I think he kind of walks over there and pulls out the gas thing and looks at it. And he said he drank the blue liquid, which I assume is like some gas retardant.
No, it looks like it's the windshield wiper stuff. Like he spilled that on himself.
I think Bernie reaches down inside and kind of swirls around and, feeling for gunk in there and stuff like that. Yeah.
She leans forward to you, Kat, and she says, he shouldn't drink that. It don't taste no good.
He has strange tastes. He'll be fine. But tell me about you.
I had a cousin like that. I understand.
Are you going to be fine? I mean, you didn't know Conrad, did you?
Oh, yeah, I see him around. He's one of he's one of Carp's boys.
One of Carp's boys? I didn't know he had, I didn't hear about Carp. Conrad and I used to be friends on Facebook.
Oh, yeah. Well, I understand how that is. I got some friends I used to have on Facebook, but then, they all unfriended me because they don't want to listen to me talk about how much America has gone downhill. So I just don't understand that.
Yeah, it's hard. So who's Carp?
And she will pause at that point. Do you let me have you make either a rapport or an empathy roll at this point. This is where she kind of starts to hesitate.
And I think this might be where she might start playing up the fact her occult heritage sort of thing and playing up like a fortune teller and trying to see, we could say the empathy, but it was sort of like, you really need to be careful about these things.
Oh yeah,
darling, you really need to think about it. I think you need to think more positive thoughts at this time, and that could really bring. I'm getting a flash. I think something really positive is going to be coming your way very soon.
Oh man, do you read those tarot cards?
I do. I have the experience with that. In fact, I have some right here, and she probably has some with her.
Ooh.
If you want to go on break, I could. We can.
Nah, I got to stay here. Besides, my mama says them the devil tools.
Well, they can be used for good or evil, just like anything, like guns. Anyway, you were going to tell me about Carp.
So before Kat rolls,
okay,
I think Bernie's going to set up an aspect of distracted. And what's going on kind of in the background is Bernie actually takes that, where the windshield wiper fluid is, and he just lifts that thing up with one hand and then sets it back down, looking underneath. And then he takes the gas handle and he kind of sprays some gas around a little bit. So I think I'm trying to set up an aspect with athletics.
Oh, okay. I'll give you that. Let's say the difficulty for this young woman here is going to be won't be that hard to distract her, but let's have her distract her without her calling the cops. Let's say that's a 3.
Okay. So that is a 3.
Okay. So she was like, hey, you tell your buddy you got to tell me you got to pay before you pump.
I'll take care of that. Don't worry. I'll take care of that. You were telling me about carp?
So you get a boost.
Right. So you wanted empathy. Oh my gosh, she doesn't have any empathy.
Or rapport.
She doesn't have any rapport. So she
Then
needed
you're
that boost.
rolling with a +2.
There we go. Thank you, Bernie.
Now I understand how rude she is with the condo.
Okay, so I have to
I
just
like the
pick a
idea that she
blank
thinks
one.
she's really good at this.
Yeah, she does. Well, I mean, if we played it up occult, then it would, but
Yes.
I want a +2. Okay. Hey, not bad.
So that's a 3. So here's what she will tell you. The details that you'll get, she doesn't want to talk about it, but she will say that the carp that she's talking about is a guy named Jonah Carp. And he is apparently the local sort of crime guy, like small time gang of thugs, maybe moving some meth, crime guy around here, and that this dead kid's one of his gang. And she will mention that Carp lost another one of his gang members, apparently ran off a few days ago as well, and that Carp's been looking for him too.
Oh, who is he? Maybe he was one of my friends on Facebook also.
And she'll tell you about this guy named Rodrigo.
So I think Bernie
Okay,
kind of lumbers back up to the window. You smell strong odor of gas on him, Cat. So, yeah.
Bernie, I think we need to get you washed up.
So Bernie kind of looks around and kind of points to the attendant. You know, I'm sure she has like a big giant spoon with a key on the end. You know,
She'll hand that through to you.
and he'll go around the corner, wash himself up and everything, and come back and give her back the key. Oh, thanks.
Y'all welcome.
And the only other thing Kat would want to do is then do some sort of analysis on the area where he was killed to see if she can pick up any supernatural traces.
Oh, okay. Here's what I will tell you, since you already kind of checked into this. The only thing you might get is a confirmation of the spectral energy that you saw before. Like, this is clearly where he was attacked and finally killed. Does that seem cool? Okay. Let's come back then to Hamid and Ingwar. What do we want to frame in on you guys doing?
So I think we met up downtown, maybe. Okay. And after his rendezvous, and
Yeah, stay a little bit longer at the hotel.
yeah, and we're in front of the mayor's office.
Okay.
That sounds.
And you're in front of Mayor Gabriel Crossman's office. And when I say office, I literally mean office. Like, it's also his legal firm, office of the mayor. It's a 2-floor building, but the upstairs probably is used for storage. And essentially, there's a glass front office, and then a portable divider, and then the mayor's office back behind there. And if you guys go in, the woman behind the desk will say, "Can I help you two?"
Yes, here to see Mayor Crossman? Here to see Mayor Crossman. We're from the federal BPRD.
And you'll hear a.
I flash my badge.
Behind the divider thing, you'll hear the chair getting pushed, the wheel, and you will see this guy pop his head out. Looks like he's about the sheriff's age, and he will say, "I'm Mayor Crossman. Why don't you two come back here into my office? So, okay?"
Sure.
Okay.
It's nice to meet you, Mayor. I'm Agent Haddadi from the BRPD, and just as a part of protocol, just wanted to check in with you, let you know we're here in town. if there's anything you'd like to, if there's any resources that you are willing to offer us, we would certainly, on behalf of the BRPD, we'd certainly appreciate that.
Yeah, well, he kind of doesn't sit. He's still standing, like he's still very clearly nervous, and he'll go, I don't know what help we can be here. We're just a small town in West Virginia, just usual things.
Also, you know why we're here?
I understand there was a kid got hit by a car and it was kind of odd.
Hamid, can you keep him a little bit busy? I have a look at the desk.
Yeah.
He will not recognize.
Okay.
Professional.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, it was something like that. Tell me, did you know the boy?
It's a small town. I think I knew his dad, if I recall correctly, but it's been a while, busy, lots of things going on as he kind of shuffles through a whole litany of excuses. So you guys going to be in town long then?
We'll be here as long as it takes, probably. Are you eager to get rid of us?
No. No,
Right.
We don't usually get all that many outsiders, or certainly people from the federal government through here, unless they're revenuers.
You're right. That's right. Luckily, we're not that. I'm finding the West Virginia air a little dry, Mr. Mayor. Would you mind fetching me a cup of water, please?
Oh, and he'll step out front, glad to kind of give himself a moment to gather his thoughts and to go to the water machine there and get that for you. So you've got a quick moment, Ingvar.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to do?
Yes. Well, there are several sources which I find interesting, and the secretary I can also send away for some mission, I guess, because I'm interested in the answering machine, like who has called and have they said something. What is in the calendar? Any interesting events? Like having a look at the computer. So just like pushing my yin yang tentacles out here.
Okay. So let's have you roll here. Let me look and see what's going to be most appropriate based on.
I see stealth. I see DC. Stealth.
Now, stealth is about hiding. You're actually trying to get information here, right? That seems to be the general intent, and you don't have that much of a challenge stealth-wise. So, what is your sort of investigative skill you're going to be putting to use here?
The good old notice. Possibly.
Okay, let's have you roll that.
I don't see.
And does he get a teamwork modifier? Can we do it like a?
Yeah, it seems to me like you've. I think we can pretty much say that you've created an advantage here. So we'll give you a boost on that. That doesn't seem like a thing we need to roll on.
Yeah, it's a +1. The teamwork. Somebody else also has at least +1 in the skill. Yeah. Yeah, I need to find the missing window. There it is. And there we go. And what did I roll? 0 in total only.
Do you want to? Is there anything you want to invoke?
Have a look. There's anything. We invoke with Courtney doesn't help me here, and I have to do that at least once per session to show that I'm supernatural. I'm the accidental bearer of supernatural relics, and I can cast shadows.
All right. So what does that look like?
particles, they take different directions and turn into chaotic orders. And when the mayor, well, it's not about the stealth thing. I'm still in the stealth mind, like that we seek it, but it's been looking for notice something. I think we need more time to find that. And because of that, I pull the, how do you call it? Open the door. The English word, yeah. To open the door. Push that into darkness, so the mayor can't open the door, and we have somewhat time.
Okay.
Yeah. And I get a +2 still only.
So I'm going to give you a question. I'm going to say that the mayor is going to know that something weird is going on, and so probably between the unsubtlety of the request for liquid and so on, his nervousness level, his heat level is rising, but you'll be able to get a question. So what is your question? What is it that you want to know?
I mean, what do you say? I'm interested in like what's going on with him and the sheriff. What do you think?
What do you think, Hamid?
As far as what we want to know, or what's between?
Yeah, what would your question be here, as you guys toss this?
Why is he so? Why does he? Why is he in such a rush to bury this, and or to hide whatever's going on?
You will see. I mean, there's a lot of the usual mayoral stuff, letterhead, and the local calendar from the insurance office, and paperwork on the closing of the Walmart, and all of that kind of stuff, and then this ornate carved sigil of protection against the forces of darkness that's in his bottom drawer. That kind of protection of your soul from forces from the outside, and it's not a cheap thing. It's clearly a pretty serious thing, and it is kind of hidden away. So he's clearly terrified of something from the supernatural. Does that seem like a good answer? And the mayor will come back in. Here's your water, officer. Sorry, the door got stuck there.
It's all right. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Look, let me give you my card, and if I think of anything, we'll get back to you, and give you guys a heads up. Maybe I'll see what I can find out about that young man that passed away. I can pass that on to you. I heard that he ran with some of the criminal element in town, and it wouldn't entirely surprise me if it was a mob hit. Well, not a mob hit, because we don't really have the mob here, but that kind of thing, low level, like backwoods mafia, moonshiners.
Who's your backwoods crime boss around here?
There's a guy named Jonah Carp. He's got his fingers in everything, and if something's gone wrong, I bet he's to blame for it.
And looking at my phone, Mr. Mayor, you know a Rodrigo?
Rodrigo. I think that's another one of Carp's boys.
Where would you know where we'd find Carp?
Probably at the pool hall bar that he hangs out at. Squad 2nd Precinct.
Squad. That's the name of the bar.
Yep. Used to be near the police station, but we had to close the police station down. So.
All right, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much for this information.
Thank you, Mr. Hadari.
Hadari.
Sorry. Okay. Yes, we'll see you, sir.
Thank you.
We're thankful for your service to the country.
And here's my card. If you need to, if you think of anything else, please give me a call.
All right. And thank you, Mr. Jensen.
Not saying a single word.
And
I mean, when we're out, I ask you, do you think we should push the intensity level up a little bit here? I'm sick of people hiding everything what they want from us. This is not how the Bureau works. Let's get back in and squeeze him a little bit. What do you think?
you want to squeeze the mayor or the sheriff?
The mayor.
What do you think he's holding back?
Directly head of the snake.
You want to go back in and waterboard him?
Oh God.
Yes, something like that. Yeah. Water and fire, we can work together, I would say on this.
Yeah, but that would be in
All right.
violation of Protocol 6, and
Protocols.
we can't do that
All
unless we
right.
invoke Protocol 7, and we're not there yet.
All right. Let's find the others.
So let's cut to the four of you together. Where does that scene take place?
The pool hall?
So we cut to squad 2nd precinct.
I think the parking lot outside the pool hall, so we can have a conversation just before we go in.
Okay. So parking lot modestly filled. This is a concrete block, cinder block built building. 1 floor. You can hear the grating whining of the air conditioning, running at full blast. You can hear music, both kinds, country and Western, coming from the building itself. And people who've, got nothing else to do are drinking light beer or whatever else is cheap in there right now. And you guys are in the parking lot.
And I think Kat will ask, well, because Kat's decided she's had enough trying to be polite and stuff like that, and she by nature she must be very blunt usually, and she says, "Why don't we just want to go in?"
Let's have a plan.
Okay,
What
well, let
about
me do some research.
No, not that kind of research. Come with me. I'll show you how to do that. And I want to climb over the roof and enter on the other direction. If somebody's in there and has something to hide while the others will enter, they will reveal themselves.
So you want to go in the back door, or you want to go up onto the roof? I'm not sure
Yeah,
what.
some fire exit or something. Something where
I see him doing like
nobody's
parkour
expecting
moves.
us to come in.
Yeah. There is probably a back door with the dumpster out back, and the front door. That's probably the extent of the exits from this place.
So how about
What I want to do is, sorry.
how about if you guys go around the back, or Ingvar, you can go around the back, and Bernie will go in the front and open the door and impress everyone. And if anyone jackrabbits, they'll run right into you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I would like to create an advantage to make your show even more impressive. I can do that because I have the right sweater on today.
Okay. So you want to do that via your darkness power? Does that sound like the right thing?
Yeah, stealth. This time, maybe.
I'll give you provoke.
Yes, that sounds good as well.
Yeah, stealth wouldn't be appropriate, but provoke to create that shadow effect to draw attention. That seems reasonable. Let's have you roll.
Okay. I wasn't expecting to use like any supernatural power for this, but I can do that. Yes.
No, the supernatural powers are your fiction for your provoke. So,
Okay. And where's the window?
hidden.
Hidden. There it is.
Nice. So yeah, you can definitely give him. What does that look like? What do you want to call that?
Well, I entered through the back door, and where all the lights there, they go off, and I appear in the shiny light.
Okay, so
Sending
we
the
know that you're going to be doing the light show to boost him up when he comes in. All right, so let's get that established there. What about Hamid and Kat? What are you two? How are you two approaching this?
I think Hamid would be doing his like a tactical scouting thing, where I'm getting up in close, maybe using like listening devices and mirror just to try and scope out the area, see if I can identify who's who in the room before we enter.
Okay, you've got a pretty good notice, right?
Yes.
Okay, I don't. It's a really good. If you just want to get basic tactical information, I think you can establish that there are 7 people in there. 2 of them are staff, and 5 of them are essentially customers. 3 of those are Carp, and his 2 guys who are back by the pool tables and having some kind of like conversation / argument right now. There's a good deal of strain in their vocal tones, like they're worried about something. Does that sound reasonable?
Yeah. Can I pinpoint the conversation with my parabolic mic and listen?
Yeah, that seems you can. Yeah. Do you want to set that up as an advantage for something just in case?
Sure.
Okay, let's see if we make a notice roll.
Where is it? Come on. There we go. Another 5.
Oh yeah. So you've got a tactical assessment with a couple of invokes on it. Does that seem cool?
Yeah, that seems
Okay.
good.
And Kat, where are you?
Well, Kat was supposed to be going around back with Hamid.
Okay.
Hamid. And so I guess she came into the back with him. I wasn't sure if Hamid, Ingvar. So did Ingvar actually go inside?
He is going inside. He's doing his darkness thing that's going to support the stuff from Bernie's provoke.
Okay.
So you falling behind him?
No, I think Kat is just going to wait outside with like picking up like a 2x4 or something that's out there to lay in wait in case they can run out the back.
Okay. So, Bernie, describe to me what you're doing, what that looks like when you come in.
So I think what this looks like is Bernie walks up to the front door and just pounds on it, knocks it off of its hinges, steps inside with the bright light billowing behind him, and shouts Carp's name.
Awesome. Let's have you roll provoke.
Okay.
You have, if you need it, you have the invoke that Ingvar has set up by dousing the lights in the back.
Okay. That's a 3.
Okay. So your total is a 3.
Mm-hmm. Actually, I'm going to tag. I'm going to tag reanimated corpse agent. So whenever I actually step inside, I pull the hood down so you can see all the scars and stuff before I shout his name. So that makes it a total of 5.
Okay.
And +2 by me is 7.
Yeah, let's go all out. Let's make that a 7.
All right. And so is your intent to draw them to you, to cower them, to send them flying? What is your intent?
Yeah, my intent here is basically to put them off guard and to feel like they're little fish, that basically something big has come for them, and if they're scared, they're going to be a lot more susceptible to our questions.
So here is what happens. And Hamid, you have to do this really fast, because you'll hear the sounds of them of guns coming out of holsters. And they go straight to freak out panic. And they unload their guns into Bernie and run for the back. Bernie is completely unaffected by the hail of bullets. What does that look like, Bernie?
So I think that there's like little, I just guess, jolts as he takes shots, but he's still walking forward, and maybe one glances off his, the side of his face, and he kind of brushes it away like it's a wasp or something like that, and just keeps advancing at the slow pace that he's been consuming throughout the scene.
Oh yeah, they are out of it. They unload with those guns. They're already susceptible because of the current situation, and essentially, as a group, they're going to hit that back, and they've unloaded their guns. They're freaked out. They may have even shat themselves. But right now, they've lost it, and you guys have control over them. With that 7, that's enough shifts that they've lost control. Bartender stuck behind the counter. The other 2 at the bar have fallen back behind. So you've got some time here to deal with them. Mind you, this has made some noise, so probably are going to have cops here. Maybe not that fast, but you are going to have them. So they are cowering in the back, these 3 guys. You'll see this older guy and a couple of 17-year-old punks with him, and they are trembling.
I think Bernie walks up to them and turns kind of to the bartender and kind of puts his hand up, and he says, "You carp?"
Yeah, please, God, no, just you will. I'll get the stuff back. I'll find it. We'll get it back. I don't know what. I mean, just stop, please.
We want to know about the deaths.
Shall I assume that the rest of you have moved in, or some of you have moved in?
I mean, I think Bernie says we want to know about the deaths, and then he turns and he looks at Kat and Hamid and kind of steps back, kind of over them.
Who the fuck are you guys?
We're your worst nightmare if you don't tell us what we want to know. He's really hungry.
I don't know why you're killing us, man. I mean, we'll give the stuff back. I just got to go, and I got to get at a hawk, and then I can just give it back to you, okay?
Where's the stuff now?
Some of it's at my trailer, and some of it's at the pawn shop, what he could take. He wouldn't take the book, but he took the coins.
And where is he?
The pawn at Red's.
Take us there.
Okay. And he'll stand up, and he is shaking. The other two are kind of like moving off, like, oh, you got carp. Maybe we can, hide back here behind the jukebox, and maybe no one will kill us. Kind of
I think
thing.
while I'm facing carp, and saying take us there. These guys are sneaking off. Without even looking, I just unholstered my sidearm and just pointed at them and pulled the hammer back as they're walking. As they're trying to sneak away.
They hear the click. They stop. So Carp will stand up, shaky, and is willing to take you to the pawn shop. And what? How is this? What does this look like? How is this particular train of people going? How are you dealing with these other two?
I think I have like those little the Ziploc handcuff ties and stuff like that. And
Okay.
I bind both the other two guys' hands, and
okay.
Maybe I'll leave them with the bartender and tell him hand these guys over to the when the police show up, hand these two over.
Yeah.
Okay.
The police will not show up so quickly. I want to call Courtney that she simulates an emergency burglary case at one of her real estates. So the police has to go to the other end of the town first. And there's not so much police in town. Then I use the music box. I throw 10 coins in and start Thriller, Michael Jackson. Thriller,
okay.
Thriller.
Over and over again. What's up, Pussycat? And then Thriller. Okay. So you've got Carp, and you're lucky it's starting to get dark, so you guys have a little bit of cover there. Put these two guys with the bartender. You've called your friend to call off the police.
Bernie actually walks over to the bartender and puts it, slaps his hand down on the bar, leaving a 50 behind, and says, "Sorry about the door," and then kind of lumbers back out.
It's going to be more than 50. That's a whole frame. I got to go drive over to Lowe's over in the next county. And so you guys can start to take Carp out. And as you do that, you will hear one of the two guys that zip tied at the bar go, and you can turn around and you see him starting to flail, as is the other guy's kind of pulling back like something's got a hold of his leg.
Back in.
So, what are you going to do, Cat? You've got Carp. What do you want to do?
I want to try and cut off. I want to see this. So she wants to hold up her tablet, put on her goggles, and then in the spectral, activate it so that she can see what's going on.
Okay. So right now you want to try and get a vision on, because they are effectively kind of invisible to you. So let's have you roll, and I think that will be notice or occult. Does that seem right?
They're the same level, so
okay.
It doesn't matter. So it can be either.
Let's have you roll.
Okay.
This is to overcome essentially the spectral invisibility that they have.
Got a 4.
Got a 4. So yeah, you will see. I mean, it's hard. You have to kind of get these goggles tuned, but there are two of these black dogs. They kind of flicker, like they don't move from point to point. They don't shift. They flicker from point to point, and you can actually see them bite in and bite down on the bones inside of these guys' legs, and you'll hear the crack as they do that. But you've got a sight on them, okay? So you know exactly where they are. You can relay that. Hamid.
Yeah, I think because I'm in my tactical gear too, and I've got my spectral goggles on also, trying to catch it, and my paranormal trank gun.
All right. Let me have you roll an overcome so that you'll be able to do an attack.
Okay.
First thing you have to do is overcome their invisibility.
Okay. Using a cult or notice.
Either whichever one is higher. Difficulty is 3.
Can Cat help him by giving him the frequency? If we want to say
mine
there's
are
a frequency to this.
Yeah, so that'll be a plus
wide,
1.
wide range.
Yep.
Okay. Let's see. So I got a plus 1.
Plus 1 in addition. Yep.
Do I have to type the plus sign in the modifier thing?
I think just a 1. It should be.
Okay. It didn't show up.
Looks like you got a 5.
Yeah, you got a 5.
It was from the previous. Wasn't that from the previous one?
Was it?
No.
Nope. There it is.
Oh, look. No, I guess it's another 5 notice. Okay. Yeah, 5.
Okay. So that's success with style. So you can point it out to one of your companions as well. Who do you want to inform?
I think I'll inform Bernie.
Bernie. So he gives you essentially the attack information so that you can see where they are on your action. Ingvar, what do you want to do?
Unfortunately, I started the music box with Thriller, and we're right now at the scene where Michael Jackson transformed into a werewolf, and I have to dance to that. My body is a piece of art, so I can compel and start moonwalk into the wall.
I will give you a fate point for that. As you slide across, the bartender screaming, "What is happening?" And what about you, Bernie? What do you want to do? Hamid's given you the info and has pointed you to these 2 spectral dogs that are biting the internal organs of these 2 zip-tied guys.
Yeah, so I think that Bernie's just going to step up and drop kick one of the dogs.
Okay. So let's have you do an attack roll.
Yep.
And so they will be resisting with athletics.
Okay, so I got a 4.
Okay. Well, apparently there is no quick roll for fate dice on this /roll.
And I want to hit these guys pretty good. I think I'm going to actually. Kat, where are you? Are you in the middle of this? You're watching them, right?
Yeah. So Cat wouldn't be up front probably. It should be farther back.
Yeah, but I think I'm still going to tag Protect the Geeks, which I think is free.
That's your signature aspect. You can tag that once per session for free.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
okay.
That. So that'd be a 6. A total of
6. So that's 5 shifts with my terrible roll for this dog. So you kick it, and it flies back, and there's probably this explosion of kind of smoke as it hits the wall and puts a dent in it, but dissipates, and it is gone. Let's come back around to the dog. The dog is going to attempt to finish off this kid. So the other kid, the dog's on the other kid, and the kid screams as he drops to the ground. Kat, what do you want to do?
I'm going to use some of my equipment to create a supernatural blocker, sort of like an anti-supernatural field that'll make it more susceptible to attacks by my colleagues.
Perfect. Let's go ahead and have you roll occult, create advantage. I'll resist that with will from the animal.
Let's see, because we don't have anything else on the table, so. Right, I don't see where it came up. I know there's a window hidden here somewhere. There we go. got a 4.
Okay, so you'll at this point you'll tie, so you'll give a boost to someone, unless you want to.
Unless I want to spend a fate point and make it more awesome.
I'm,
Let's see.
I want to make you more awesome.
I think you would have had to do it before then, though.
No. You can do that afterwards.
I just want to tag a cult field analyst.
Okay.
So that cost me a face point, or do I get that for free? Which is the signature one?
Your a cult field analyst. Your signature one is. I don't think you have a signature one.
Does it give me a second? I know I read that somewhere. I added a third one. Is that the signature?
Oh no. That essentially you got a point for adding another one, so you can spend that.
Okay.
There's actually a stunt called Signature Aspect that gives you a free invoke on one of your aspects.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So that's what I did.
Sorry. I didn't know that. Okay. Okay, then I just spent a fate point.
Okay. So right now, essentially, effectively, we've got a free invoke on the dog. As what does that look like when you do that?
So it's going to tie them to this dimension.
Okay. So it kind of solidifies them. So as it moves, there's maybe after images of the dog, and it's more present there. Hamid, what do you want to do?
So I think I want to actually try and catch the dog.
Ooh, interesting. So that sounds like it'd be athletics, doesn't it?
Okay.
Or, well, hey, let me think here. Yeah, I think if you want to capture it to kind of neutralize it, I think that's going to be athletics.
Okay.
So I will also resist with athletics on that.
Athletics.
Ooh, nice.
But it didn't show up on my screen yet.
No, it was nice for me.
Oh. There we go.
Okay. So
I
right
got
now,
a 7, I got a 4.
I got a 4. Ingvar and Hamid, is there anything you want to tag or spend to push that up?
Is there still one tag left on the tactical advantage
Yeah, I believe
aspect?
so. Yep.
And there should be, isn't there a free invoke on tied to this dimension?
On the boost. Yeah.
Yes. So that'll take it to an 8.
I also push a fate point into this by using my body, which is a piece of art.
Get a hold of it, lock it down. So this dog, it's like a hounded Tindalos or a blink hound. I mean, it's not meant to be in this dimension, and yet you've got it locked there, and it is strong, but it's not like superhumanly strong. Its main advantage is that sort of transport. So, Hamid, you've got this. How do you lock this dog down?
So I think I'm able to. I basically wrestle the dog over into like a submission position on its back, where I have its paws crossed over its front paws crossed over his neck, and the back legs are just kicking, and I can hold him down with his belly with the other hand.
And you've got him held. Carp is there. He is freaking out, but you guys can get the dog, get Carp, and get out of the location if you want.
Yeah, I think I inject the dog with I've got like these sedative injectors.
Okay. So this seems like a good place for us to stop before we move on to the next bit of this. But what's the last thing we see in this, Bernie? What the last thing we see in the moment after you paid the guy the $50 and then fought the dogs?
Yeah, I think Bernie, is watching this. He helps kind of carry the dog out, comes back, and he sees the dent in the wall, and he kind of looks over at the bartender and fishes around in his pockets a little bit and pulls out another 50 and boom, puts it down on the bar. And
I imagine that this $50 bill is also soaked in organ blood from having been in the same pockets earlier.
That sounds good. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. He's still peeling the first bill off.
And maybe a little bit of gasoline.
Okay. And what about Ingvar? What do we see from you? Besides your divorcee calling you.
Ah, no, I'm making friends with Cobb. Like, he shall know that I'm the only person he can trust in this gang. So
yeah, he doesn't know what to think now. Shadows, dogs, thriller, yoga instructors. He's really confused at this
I
moment.
will keep you safe. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And Hamid, what's the last thing we see from you in this scene?
I think the last thing I do is put a bullet in the jukebox and then holster my weapon and walk out.
The two guys cowering back behind the bar, you hear, "Thank you." And Kat, what do we see from you?
I think Kat will. The last scene is Kat probably taking as many or filming the area panoramically as much as possible so that she can do a 3D reconstruction of it, and then doing a full body scan of, this is quite an interesting dog. I have never seen a black dog up close like this, and doing a full scan of the black dog, and it might snap at her or something or like that, or he's probably muzzled, but and so her backing off a little bit, but finishing the scan.
All right, so we cut to the science montage. All right, well, that's where we're going to stop for tonight, and we will take up with continuation, finish of this investigation next time. And I'm going to stop the recording there. We will do Roses and Thorns at the end of second session. I know Rich does at the end of each. He's a better man than I. I usually do it at the end of the second session. So we will take up then stopping the recording.